Hello everyone. We decided to do a little video here. Here with Devon Shigaki, my business partner, and also John Eddy. And we're just going to break it down. John has heard about Bitcoin before, but it's interesting learning more about the blockchain technology and where the world's headed. And again, my business partner Devon, who does a great job breaking this down.
So I'm going to break down what the blockchain is in its simplest form for John, coming in knowing a little bit or none about Bitcoin. None about Bitcoin. So we're going to have to establish what Bitcoin is for anybody that's watching. You guys already know, but to see what John understands is going to be really important. And what the blockchain is, more importantly, because blockchain is the software, the algorithm that runs everything. It's the backbone. It's the backbone of blockchain is trust. So the trust protocol behind it. Okay, I know I keep starting over here, but I think that we have to go deeper and deeper and deeper. What is trust? What is the importance of trust? Where does it fit in our life? The first thing we do as human beings when we're born, trust is the first emotion. We have to trust that we're being born into a situation that we can flourish in. There's nothing else we can do. We're infantile. We have nothing, no protection, no emotions, no decisions, no opinions. We have to just trust. If trust is at our core, it is also the foundational emotion that creates every other emotion. Okay? If you trust the situation, you feel good about it or bad about it if you don't trust it. And from that emotion derives every other emotion that stacks on top. So we have to recognize the importance of trust in our society and where we lost it and the ramifications that happened because of it and what reinserting trust into our establishment will do. Okay? So does it make sense when I say trust is the foundational emotion for everything else?
Yeah.
Can we agree on that?
Yes.
Can you guys agree on that? Anybody that's watching, does that make sense? If you have questions, please leave them. I will answer them later, but right now I want to go back and forth with John about this. So we agree that trust is most important. That should be our maxim, and it's what every religion, politics, everything that derives into a group came from another group because they didn't trust that group that they were part of before, and it created another division, and another division, and another division. So if trust is what keeps people together, it's also the lack of trust that divides us. So the blockchain not only represents a technology that's going to instill trust in companies, but it's going to give us back trust. We can operate in society without wondering what kind of person you are or any of your decisions. The only thing we base each other's decisions on is trust. And because I can trust you in a society without a third party, the mentality of the human psyche is going to completely change. If you know that you can trust everybody in the world on their word because you can see it on your phone or on your laptop that what they're telling you is legitimate, what do you think that's going to do for everything?
Yeah, crazy.
Things get done faster. Imagine a blockchain where scientists all shared information around the world and it was free and available. The innovation that would come to be without politics at play, without religion at play. Religion is just another form that came to be because we didn't trust the group before. There was an original group, whether you want to say it was a Big Bang or God put us here, whatever you want to run with. There was an original group of people that all trusted each other and then split off one day. And that's what formed everything we're at right now. If we can take the blockchain algorithm, it's like bleach to bacteria. It will reverse everything we've done. 2/3 of the words you speak right now will no longer even exist. They will be relics because words are attached to items, emotions, things that we have come to describe surrounding trust. Everything. Is that a good car? Is that a bad car? Do you like this girl? Do I like this girl? Well, it all derives from that feeling you get right here that everybody tries to put into tangibility. Religion gives them their moral compass. Now politics gives them their moral compass. I'm not anti-religion. I'm not anti-politics. I'm not anti-establishment. I just recognize trust for what it is and how vital it is, if not the most vital thing we have.
Right, okay. So how does that apply to the technology you're talking about?
Awesome. So the technology gives us a tangible, functioning algorithm that allows us to trust one another. It verifies within the system itself. So people that are part of the network are able to trust each other with no third party involved.
And how does that work?
So the general consensus, okay, I'll explain what a blockchain is.
Sure.
Blockchain is a piece of information that you submit, it becomes encrypted and put onto the blockchain ledger. Now the blockchain ledger is just like any ledger you'd think of. It's written down and it records everything and everybody can see that ledger. So even though your information is protected and encrypted, no one can tell what transaction was yours because they don't know your wallet unless you give it to them. they will be able to keep 100% privacy while the system can verify using the keys itself that all the information is correct. So if somebody tried, imagine blocks stacked on top of each other, right? Well, down the line, somebody got somebody's private information, and they wanted to go back and, I don't know, commit identity theft, right? They could go back and try to mess with the blockchain, but if they take one block out of place, what happens is the blocks are encrypted with the previous block's information. So if you pull that, it's just like Jenga, the whole thing's going to alert and kick back the error because it won't be correct. It doesn't fit within the algorithm.
Got it.
Now, the algorithm is scalable. A lot of people talk about the delays on the blockchain when you're trying to submit a transaction. Keep in mind, it takes like 3 days to transfer with a normal bank right now. 1 day seems too long for a blockchain user. But what this allows is the transaction between you and I to be 100% guaranteed that everybody has reached this consensus that, hey, this guy owns this house, this guy owns this, that everybody is able to claim their own property without a third-party government, without an establishment saying, like, yes, that's yours. There's not going to be courts anymore. I am actually working very closely.
Well, in a sense, there is an establishment because all of the other users are sharing in that decision, correct?
Yes, yes, but the thing is,
a much larger establishment.
Well, let's not just say large. How about the whole world?
Correct.
If we can get a system, go to onepoll.com. Onepoll.com exists right now. It is a voting system that operates on the blockchain with the trust protocol, decentralizing the power. So no one person has all the say how this voting system goes, meaning everyone has the say on how this goes.
Sure.
So there is a hive mind concept that is it's looked down upon because it's wrong. Hive minds are usually thought to be a bad thing because it's a group working against some people. But technically, at the end of the day, it might be a group going after a bigger group. All the world, 1% to the 99. Again, I'm not against the 1%. I just want to establish that there's always a division, and it's because of lack of trust, no matter how big the other group is and how small the other group is. Trust is the foundation. So by giving people trust again, the ramifications, just the human psyche, the way we think, the psychological trends we have are all going to change. This will literally evolve our being scientifically, because if you get caught on the blockchain doing something wrong, everybody in the world who you've ever done something wrong with gets caught too. So if you realize one idiot can get caught in another country doing something he shouldn't be doing, and you're going to get in trouble 30 years later, you're going to be a better person, aren't you?
You would think so.
You would know so. You would know so because you don't want to get locked up for somebody. And that's not the point, really. What it comes down to is the accountability that the system allows us to have for each other. The trust it gives us allows us to be better people.
Sure.
And when we can be better people and business is no longer actually the business, innovation becomes the business. Now we get down to the nitty-gritty. We say, okay, let's share all of our information. Let's all do everything together. Now the pharmaceutical industry can no longer be manipulated because people know what's good and bad for them because the information is submitted kind of like PubMed.gov. PubMed gives you very complicated answers to simple problems like cancer and other things we could totally fix right now.
Okay.
But it's released to the public in a way that is convoluted, confusing, and puts doubt on a lot of the technology we've made and that already exists. But the government they're required to give us this information. So how they feed it to us is very important to pay attention to. People talk about the media being controlled. I don't care about all these conspiracy theories. I'm looking at this from a straightforward point. If an average person goes to read PubMed, it's gonna get confusing. So we need something simple to fix us. Through all this complexity, we've lost our real evolution. We have 20 million ways to describe how we feel sad, but do we really need to waste that much time doing that? Or can we focus on what's going to make us happy? And yes, it's easy to say that, but what's even easier is letting the blockchain just do its job. It will come in, correct these wrongs and these portions of society that are biased, and put groups back together. Imagine trust is that pinnacle emotion, right? It is kind of like the sun in the solar system. And then each emotion that's spawned off in each direction, it's going to consume everything back up, because when that emotion no longer has a word to describe it because we don't talk about it anymore because trust is established, now all of a sudden we suck up a planet. And each time we're going to reverse all these divisions we've made through technology, through an algorithm, through math. It's just proven facts. 1 + 1 is 2 if we're talking about addition. You want to get more complicated, there's other stuff. But It's so simple, people don't see it. It's not a complex thing. We made these divisions from lack of trust. Giving us trust back removes those divisions. There's no line between you and me anymore.
So how does all this apply then to Bitcoin and all these other cryptocurrencies that are out there? And it seems like a new one is cropping up every day.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, now we have another one. Let's put our money over here. So tell me how that works.
So there's a lot of currencies popping up. There's a lot of ICOs popping up. And what they're seeing with this is trust is an easy sell. If people feel like they trust the situation, they'll jump at it, whether it's a trustworthy situation or not. So these people you hear about that things are going wrong, they're giving their trust to companies that don't actually hold themselves accountable through a proper trust protocol and a smart contract with the public saying, this is how we do business. With my hedge fund, for example, is I've decentralized the power between you and I. So you get to keep all the money in your own exchange account. I never touch it. You pay for your server to get started, and I trade for you. Every week I send you an invoice, you pay it. I trust that you're going to pay me. And that's how we got almost $3 million in capital funding in 2 weeks, because people feel it right here. They're like, wait, it's really simple. It's super simple. I keep my money, you trade for me, I pay you when you do a good job. And we both share.
I can say it's done really well for me in the past few weeks.
How much have you done?
Well, we started with 20,000, that turned over 60,000 in about 10 days, roughly. So then we kind of went on.
And money's not the point here. It's the fact that people are jumping.
It's the point why I'm here.
Well, I love it.
For the wrong reason.
But I want what I want people to understand is that the real abundance comes in the fact was we need to switch the roles here. Companies need to stop looking to trust the people, and the people need to start saying, you know what, I'm just going to trust you. And if this works out well, because you put in place protocols that give me that assurance that I can trust you, that say, with the decentralized hedge fund, you can walk away any day you want, take all your money, and I can't say a damn thing about it. That's the power of trust. You realize that there's no way for you to make money or I to make money unless we work together. And working together is great, but if I have all the power, that's not really working together, is it?
Right.
Okay, so the blockchain decentralizes that power grid through the algorithm and verifies the information amongst the users. So
information with regard to what you're investing in?
Yes, so a blockchain, the information stored digitally can be a home, it can be currencies, it can be assets. This is why NASDAQ is so afraid of what's happening, and they've actually opened up a division called List.
I just want to step aside real quick and let you know that we're working on some very big projects. Huh?
What are you doing? Trying to
Just stepping aside for a second?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm sorry.
You can get over here. What it comes down to.
Say that for everybody.
We have commodities, assets, and stocks, and futures, and everything else out there, right? Mm-hmm. They were all systems built to serve a single type of commodity or asset. Right. What the blockchain does is put it all into one. So Wall Street is afraid for a good reason. And again, not anti-establishment. This comes down to facts. They've already put in place a blockchain technology. You can find it on the NASDAQ technology for verification. It allows their business to grow that much faster. When you delete 1/3 of the process, you open up so many other doors. Okay. So when it comes to regards with Bitcoin was proof that the blockchain will work the way that I'm describing. It wasn't biased towards countries. It wasn't biased towards people. It wasn't biased towards amounts of money. You can get involved for $10. You can get involved for 100 million. Your position will not change. You won't control more of what's going on. You could put up walls when trading and cause problems, but at the end of the day, the power still relies on all of the people to come to a consensus, meaning no one can manipulate it. The stock exchange is highly manipulated through inflation, deflation, splitting shares, and devaluing those shares and spending it anywhere they want.
So does your hedge fund then run on Bitcoin? So all of the individuals who are participants are using Bitcoin.
Yes. So Bitcoin is the main currency we exchange with because its value is growing every single day. And you might see dips and rises, but if you look at the if you look at a 10,000 foot view, the blockchain technology and Bitcoin have gone up every single year. It took one crash, which every successful stock has ever done. Took a first crash and then took off. Blockchain, Bitcoin did the same thing. Why? Because the adoption rate is there. There is days where it might go down drastically, but that's because of scare. That's because the current system at place is opposing this. They don't want this to replace them. It's not anti-establishment, it's just the transition we are making from horses and carriages to cars. Like, we are really jumping to a new stage of business.
So it seems that then there's two risks involved. One risk is the fluctuation in the value of Bitcoin.
No.
And then the second risk is the risk of the hedge fund itself growing or...
No. So it takes $2,000 to create a Bitcoin, like factually, like the electricity, the amount of time, the mining. Blockchain works the exact same way as going out there and digging up a bunch of gold and submitting it to the blockchain and saying, this is what the value of gold is now. Except it's superior in value because we don't need to waste resources digging up the ground anymore. We don't need to be like cavemen putting our pebbles in a cave and saying, I'm going to protect this. We have digital assets. We have a digital world that can protect us far beyond any cave, far beyond any cell. And that, to me, is called almost like primitive, to stick with a system where we now can establish, I don't need to go out there and dig up rocks. We can establish that there's a blockchain of money, that the currency itself works exactly like a pile of gold, and this is how much there is. That's the big difference. We don't know how much gold is out there. We don't know how much precious metal is out there. We keep finding it, and that's true inflation. That's true deflation, because the supply is always changing.
So what happens in that supply of Bitcoin is in
the value of each
so there's
Satoshi.
No more. Can't mine it.
You can't.
It's all done.
Exactly.
No.
So what happens then is that what they're doing like a fork right now. They will take all the blockchain transactions and create a new blockchain to mine and repeat this process, just like we would go if we ran out of gold and we couldn't find any gold left in the world. We'd start mining something else and then make that the value. That's all we're doing. It is such a digital...
So then what happens to the value of Bitcoin?
The Bitcoin will stay at that value because those people have invested in it. All those people who own Bitcoin will continue to own that much Bitcoin, and the value of Bitcoin...
Well, you think that about stocks too, but
no, because
when somebody bails and then 10 people bail and then it's a rush and the stock goes...
But there's no bailing. There's no bailing. You're not selling... When somebody sells off their Bitcoin, they're selling it to another person. They're giving their Bitcoin to another person. That person is exchanging that value.
Right.
The value in itself maintains... A stock is reliant upon a company doing well and everything else. A currency is reliant on a country doing well.
Right.
The blockchain is not reliant on either of those.
So it's a form of a precious metal.
It is more than just a form of a precious metal. It operates like a precious metal, which is a huge reason the metal industry is going to see a huge, big fall. Because the biggest value in trading precious metals is what?
I have no idea.
Trading precious metals.
Okay.
That's it. That's their value. Is I can trade you a block of gold for this much because we've deemed it this much. Nobody's building towers out of gold.
Right.
So the value of gold will soon be gone, not because something's going to take it out. It's just going to be replaced because the system at hand makes more sense mathematically, scientifically, across the board. We just need people to realize that and understand we're not fighting the government. We're not trying to overthrow things. We're just tired of trying to be cavemen putting our pebbles in a cave. Like, I don't want to be robbed because my country decided, hey, we're at war, we need to take your stuff, this is what's going on. Mm-hmm. I want to have a say over my life savings. I want to have a say over what goes on over the whole world. Mm-hmm. And the blockchain serves both of those purposes. So it's so much bigger than just currency. It's going to change the pharmaceutical industry, the real estate industry, hands down. It's going to replace everybody who...
So what causes the big swings in the value of Bitcoin? Why does it drop so drastically?
Because the more people
trust.
no, actually, it's really funny. It is trust. When somebody purchases such a large amount, when people get involved in large amounts, you'll see a drop because of dilution. Somebody else is jumping in the pool and taking up a large amount. But it also scares people, just like somebody jumping into a pool making a cannonball. We all turn around and they're like, you got me, you hit me, what's going on? When somebody comes in with a large amount, it always creates a ripple effect. The dollar did the same thing, but instead we kept finding and then we started having to print things. Whereas with Bitcoin, we can all knowledgeably say, I know how many blocks are out there, and I know that if I engage with this community, and a lot of people are, we're accepted where anywhere Visa's accepted. So the blockchain itself is a self-proving mechanism because we know where the end of it is.
Okay.
Whereas gold cannot do that because we don't know what's out there. We don't know if we're going to find another big ore and all of a sudden it plummets in value because there's so much more to work with. It seems silly when you look at it from an economic side, a financial side, a logistical side.
So how do you buy Bitcoin?
So you can go on to any wallet, Coinbase, blockchain, is it info? .info?
Yeah, then you click on
Okay,
wallets.
so there's apps for this, and all you have to do is take your debit card or your bank account, go on there, and press buy Blockcoin or Bitcoin. So
I think Coinbase is the best place to start off with a Bitcoin wallet because you'll make $10 for putting $100 from your bank account into there for your initial.
I mean, that's fun.
Cool.
That's fun.
And they just raise the limit to how much? Bitcoin?
25,000
a month or what?
25,000 in one-time purchase. Like you can
buy 25,000.
I think it's weekly,
just like that. Weekly, I don't know.
And what that means is that the pool of people getting involved is so much bigger, and it doesn't retract in value because again, the blockchain doesn't seek to have power within a country or a religion or a political matter. It is every human being that recognizes, wait a second, like, are we just doing things right or is this wrong? And if you can acknowledge that it's just not logical, I'm not a tree hugger, but it's just not logical to go out there and dig around in the sand like a caveman looking for pebbles and then putting that in our caves.
So
we don't need these systems.
So what then is the benefit to Bitcoin over the other currencies? They seem to have the same characteristics.
Oh, are you talking about other cryptocurrencies?
Yeah.
Okay. So
why is Bitcoin?
Cryptocurrencies don't represent just currency. They're not like dollar for dollar, pound for pound. People need to look at these currencies like stocks, exactly like stocks. These coins represent shares in these companies. So stocks, the idea of a stock was you wrote down what you wanted, you threw it up in the air at the stock exchange, they would collect your bid, and that's how it worked in the old days, right? Mm-hmm. A coin is the same thing. That's why it went from IPO to ICO, an initial coin offering rather than an initial public offering. And so these coins represent stocks within companies doing totally different things than currency. Okay, we have companies that are focused on cold fusion. We just met with somebody and casinos and gambling.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Well, no, I don't want. That's a whole nother rabbit trail. What it comes down to is it's not just currency. People, if you take 2 seconds to look at what the exchange is, it's exactly what NASDAQ is, but better. It has every company and the reasons they're involved, and the proper companies use trust protocols. So that's how I trade. I don't trade with a company that does not have a trust protocol. And the reason being is entities are here to serve the people. That's how it was at the beginning. Any entity where the people serve the entity is just a modern form of slavery. That's it.
But that doesn't answer my question of why Bitcoin over the other cryptocurrencies.
It's not over. I'm sorry, I need to clarify that. It's not Bitcoin over the other currencies. Bitcoin is the financial, it is the bank, right? It is the JP Morgan now. It is the main bank that all of these other currencies that represent shares of companies and projects operate on. They say, I'll give you this many Bitcoin so you can sell this many coins and take this and have that much more to give your people. And so people will say, okay, cool. We'll take in this amount of Bitcoin and we'll be able to put up a smart contract that explains how my hedge fund establishes trust with the public. It says, you keep your money, I make the trades. These companies a lot of them are missing this point, not because they're bad companies, but they don't understand what they're even jumping into. They need to have a trust protocol in place because that is the backbone of blockchain technology. You need to have an agreement with the public that you are there for the public. And the day that you are no longer a benefit to the public, it's no hard feelings. I'm not hating you, but we need to transition and evolve and progress as people. We can't let politics or religion or any form of division stop us from becoming our best selves. And that is the power of the blockchain. So we can get down to the finance side. Bitcoin just represents finance. Some of these ICOs represent healthcare. Some of these ICOs represent insurance. Some of these ICOs represent energy. They represent companies, not just trading dollar for dollar. It is about trading value with trust for trust.
So then those currencies aren't on the same level as Bitcoin?
They're
not.
They're
Bitcoin
not.
is the only true cryptocurrency.
No.
That doesn't benefit any other company or corporation.
No. I'm sorry. So what it is, Bitcoin is just the financial consensus we have all accepted to exchange value on. Mm-hmm. I'll give you some Bitcoin, you give me some Bitcoin, but what are we doing with the Bitcoin afterwards? these other ICOs, some of them represent a currency like a new Chinese Neo and their Chinese market. But there's other currencies that don't even represent currency. People are stuck in the word currency, but think of a coin as a share. So all these other ICOs are really just shares of companies that are starting up or establishing their world in the blockchain, saying, hey, we figured out we don't need NASDAQ to do this. And it's funny because some of the people on NASDAQ are now transitioning over and said, we don't need to be on the stock exchange anymore. This is kind of pointless when a normal person can buy like stock in our company right here without a $25,000 limit and a trading license. Like they can just believe in something and they can feel that and trust it and say, I want to be part of it. That's what's going to influence the world to change. Not a board of directors who thinks they know what's best for the whole world. The whole world knows what's best for the whole world. Now, when you have one little group that decides they know what's best for the whole world, that's where the problems arise. And at first, it almost defrags your mind. You think about it, does the whole world really need to decide what the whole world's going to do? And you think about maybe some stupid people you know. But at the same time, they have a right. They're human. We need to know what everybody feels right here. We need to know what people trust. Trust is not based on, it is not controlled by any other emotion. It is the only emotion we can all agree that this seems right or this seems wrong on issues that are all over the world. I think that people are getting too caught up on the money. They're getting too caught up, and when you get caught up in the money, you don't realize that these things that are being called ICOs are actually companies. You think about, okay, Bitcoin's about money, so all these other things must be about money. Right. But they're not. They're representing companies just that like are operating around the world, but they offer the decentralized power that I'm offering in my trading. And that means they're benefiting for the public. There's no vendetta. There's no hidden aspect to it. If a company can establish to the public and write a contract with the public and say, we're here for you, there's nothing else to worry about. Because if you don't feel good about it, you should be able to take out.
So then, there's only two ways then to get Bitcoin. One is to mine it, right?
Yeah.
And there's a finite amount available. The other way is that you use currency to purchase it.
Yes. There's actually a third way.
What is the third way?
So a third way is, say one of these companies you come across, you believe in, and you buy a bunch of their coins. You know, they have a release and they say, we're having an ICO. We want you guys to purchase. People can give them USD, they can give them other things. It depends on what the ICO wants to accept. But at the end of the day, when your coins go up in value, just like shares would go up in value, you can take your coins to the exchange and get Bitcoin. So there, you can get into the US dollar the same way you can get into Bitcoin on the exchange. If I purchase shares in a company and I exchange them in NASDAQ, I can get US dollars back. It's the same concept, except
it's just a subsidiary of using currency.
Yes.
Because you're using currency to buy their coin.
Yes.
Or you're using Bitcoin, and unless you mined the Bitcoin, you paid for the Bitcoin.
Yes.
So at some base level, it all begins with the currency.
Yes.
You're converting it into some sort of a cryptocurrency.
Yes. And that's
this company's own coin, and then I save up that coin, and with that coin, I can buy Bitcoin.
Yes.
So I'm saying that the only coin that is derived purely from the blockchain technology and being mineable is Bitcoin.
No.
Is there another mineable coin?
Every coin, not every coin, I take that back, is mineable. So there are people, once they put out the blockchain and say, okay, there's 23 million coins out there, or 23 million blocks, you can mine these blocks. Now, some companies don't have mineable blocks. They mine them in different ways, such as Steemit is a social media channel where the more content you post, it generates the actual currency because people can vote and say, I like that. Give them a penny, give them 2 cents, whatever. Just like liking on Facebook. So that is a more strategic, hands-on way to build a currency within an atmosphere. And people get paid to socialize for free on that. Right. And you don't have to sign up under anybody. You don't have to do anything. You can go there and sign up yourself today and just start making money liking people's posts.
Future that.
Get out of here. Not yet. But
I want to hear about that.
No, but
I really do, because these are the things that you're...
What it comes down to is the trust established with that community. Steemit agrees to let the users vote on the good content, and then they get paid, the people that vote on it and the people that made it, because you're helping drive quality content to the top.
Now with that currency, that coin, or whatever it's called.
Steemit.
Okay, but whatever coins are derived from that, where do you keep that?
So you keep it in your Steemit wallet, and you can exchange it right into the exchange and get paid US dollars or Bitcoin. Bitcoin first, and then US dollars. So it's no different than the system we have now, except it's 100% connected, 100% transparent, and 100% verifiable, which means that's kind of the whole point. If the other system is lacking those three, and that's what got us in the situation we're in right now, then putting those three things in is the only point that needs to be made.
Okay. Fair enough. I understand.
But if you don't,
It's
like,
great
I'd love to
conversation.
go over any questions. Like, if, even if it's a repeat, I want to get this.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
But yeah, it's the transition we all need. It's the closest thing we're going to get. Think of charities would get 100% of the proceeds. We don't need to rely on a charity to do it anymore. That solves world poverty right there. When the world can say, I think we all need to help this country, or we all need to help this country, and no one gets in the middle. No one says, I'm sorry, we can't because of our position.
Well, somebody has to collect the money, though, and disperse it. I mean,
but those people on the other end
take
are
people out of the equation. There's always people.
But you're thinking of a third
Human
layer.
nature.
You're correct. You can't take people out of the equation. I'm not saying take people out of the equation. I'm saying
Oh, you
simply
say they
I'm
get
taking.
100% of the money.
Oh yes, they would, because
What
somebody
prevents
can,
that now, though, is people taking the money along the way.
exactly, and that doesn't exist on the
administration
blockchain.
fee.
It doesn't exist on the blockchain.
Well, it doesn't exist with regard to the currency, but in the end, when the charity takes the money that they get, they have to pay their administrators. They have to be. There has to be a way.
No, it gets okay. I'm glad we're still talking. It gets rid of all of that.
How?
Because what is the point of the administrator and the other party and the other party?
To organize the disbursement of goods.
We don't need that. The blockchain, we can establish that amongst each other. If I want to throw 20 Bitcoin at this problem over here and 30 Bitcoin at this problem, I can do it myself. So what does the administration actually do?
So what is throwing the Bitcoin at it do? What happens now?
The people on the other end who we've decided, hey, you guys need help, they get all of it. That's exactly my point. Is there's no admin. Well, hold on, let's go back to the question.
The people who are supposed to get it.
Right, but human nature dictates that there's going to be
That's
corrupt
an
people
old
on
way of
that end.
thinking.
But that's the whole
the trust
problem.
issue.
Hold on.
The problem
This
is that
great.
one guy takes it and
Trust.
says, hey, thank you very
But
much.
there's
All
not
we
that
need is
one
trust.
guy.
No, I have no trust.
We need trust, though.
Here's the thing, there's not that one guy. I want to go back to the original question I asked you. What is the administration there for?
To disperse.
No, we've established between you and I, there's no need of
Well,
disbursement.
we
So-
haven't established that because I don't buy that way. you just
Okay,
said.
okay,
At all.
okay. Well, there's no need of it. And I can tell you that because I can send you Bitcoin without somebody being in the middle.
I understand that.
So if
But that's
you
me
need-
as an individual.
Okay.
So let's say, for
Assertion,
instance,
Ricky.
the relief of a
First
of a
off,
hurricane.
what you have to get this right before we can argue an invalid point. And I don't want to make this point because at the end of the day, what was the administration there for? To verify. That's all they were there for. Verify is the first point. You have a third-party contact that says, yes, the money's there. Okay, now we disperse. So you have to get to the root first and say, okay, the administration's position is first to verify, then to disperse. The blockchain already takes care of disbursement because I can prove I can send you a Bitcoin and I can send that person a Bitcoin and I can send that person a Bitcoin. I don't need anybody's permission or any third party to tell me how I disperse it. So the disbursement issue is not actually an issue because nobody's done
So
it.
you have 2 million people affected by hurricane.
And if they all put up their wallet and a copy and paste, I could send 2 million people any amount
Just
of money
like
I
that.
want. So there is no disbursement needed. Now the verification, the
What about
blockchain,
for infrastructure, for rebuilding roads and buildings and things that...
they can all go towards whatever I want to send my money towards. There's no administration needed because the verification process is taken care of in the algorithm. It says the money's there or it's not.
No, I understand that. I get that you can get the money to the person. I understand that.
But
you're
if you're
talking about
replacing
a huge number of people that there still has to be a group of people that make decisions. You can't have everyone in
Yes.
the world running around doing whatever the hell they want. That's called
No, of
that's
course.
called
Of
course.
anarchy. It
Anarchy.
doesn't work.
Yes.
Human nature dictates that you always go to the negative. So
Well,
people
that's-
will
no,
be
no,
the way
no.
the brain operates.
I believe that is
That's-
human nature doesn't make us always go to the negative. We've been primed. It's not nature. We've been primed to be that way by the amount of things in our life that have gone wrong, where we lose trust.
There's
So it's not nature. It is exactly the opposite of nature. It is primed behavior. If we get back to nature and we can actually trust each other again, using a system that takes care of the establishment, I'm not anti-establishment. I believe there are people that still need to run the world and help us. But those level of here's what I always say.
There are good people and bad people.
But the blockchain,
right? I mean,
yes, but the blockchain.
You don't know who's getting it. Are they a good person or a bad person?
But you do.
How?
It gets so much deeper than that.
I have a fable. The scorpion and the frog. This is an example of human nature. So the scorpion and the frog are at the river, and the scorpion says to the frog, "Hey, can you give me a ride on your back across the river?" And the frog says, "I can't do that. You'll sting me, and I'll die." And the scorpion says, "Well, if I sting you, then I will drown, and why would I do that?" The frog thinks about it and he says, "Okay, makes sense." Scorpion gets on the frog's back. The frog takes off across the river. About halfway across, the scorpion stings the frog, and the frog says to the scorpion, "Why did you sting me?" And the scorpion says, "Because it's my nature." You can't change someone's nature. But it is what it is.
This is off a very consolidated, divided mindset. Okay? Going back to the example you said. A smart contract is a deal that is witnessed by everybody in the world.
Okay, I understand that. I appreciate that.
So, if that scorpion and that frog were standing in front of everybody and they said, "Okay, Mr. Scorpion, if you sting this guy, we're going to kill you. We're going to stomp on you."
Die anyways,
but
so he already
beside that.
It was suicide by cop.
But at the end, either they both died and there was no bad scorpion anymore,
right,
or the system would take care of it. So a smart contract is the agreement that the scorpion, the establishment, or the person that you consider bad has to make with the public in order to function on the blockchain and say, if I do this, this will happen. It executes it without our permission. So it executes it based...
So you're saying that the scorpion would die without killing the frog?
Yes, if he did not complete his part of the deal.
All right.
Because the
so
blockchain...
then the scorpion would be eliminated out of the mix, but not the frog.
Exactly, because...
Kindergartners right there, blockchain for kindergartners.
I'm going to give you a working...
Watch for an equity book.
Here. I'm going to give you a working example and proof that it already did that.
All right.
You heard about Silk Road, the dark web, and all that stuff that went down. They've been trying to shut down Silk Road for years, okay? Many people don't know, and this is recorded by the DEA, FBI, you can look it up, and I think it might even be on Netflix. If you pay attention, they said the only reason they were able to shut down Silk Road is because of blockchain technology, where people think that privatizing and cryptography is going to cause more crime. What it actually did is these guys said, oh, well, our information's hidden, we don't have to worry about it, we can operate this way. But it's flipping the switch in how you think. They didn't think about, well, maybe, yeah, it's all under cryptography, but someone can still follow that wallet and see all the action you took. So if you get busted one time in life, all of a sudden we have your wallet because you got in trouble for doing something you shouldn't. And anybody who's done anything ever with you across any platform, whether that's health, whether that's finance like Bitcoin, whether that's a new reign of politics that is still an establishment that helps us run everything, it's all across one network. And if you've done anything with your wallet address with someone else, they know every single thing you've done. So
there's only one wallet?
You can have many. You can have many wallets, but it's the signature. With technology, we leave signatures on everything we use. You can't escape this signature. The wallet is distinctly yours because it's given to you and never ever to anybody else ever again. So if you lose your wallet, there's no one to write to like get help to get your money out. That's the protection. People view it as like, oh, I could lose my money, but really, there's a lot of protection in the fact that no one can retrieve your passwords but you. No one can get your information but you. No government can forcibly enter into the blockchain and say, give me everything you got. No country
So
can
how do they get your wallet?
So, if you get busted and you have, like what they did with Silk Road, the guy got busted with his computer open. Okay, they swarmed in on him and they got his wallet. Okay, it's open. Like, I can show you my wallet. I'm not afraid for you to see what my life is like.
Yeah.
I can give you my wallet and say, here you go. They took his wallet and they found not only him, but also the other two partners he had been operating Silk Road and all of the disgusting things happening on there, okay? On top of that, they found a wallet address that had been receiving consistent payment, no name, but they ended up finding out it was the lead detective in the case. Blockchain was able to solve the entire problem by itself, systematically finding the people who were connected to each other doing bad things, so when even one of them got busted, the whole system got uprooted. So blockchain does exactly the opposite of what people worry about. It's that the privatized community right now wants you to think that it's going to take away your privacy and things from you, but they're really just worried about their situation. And I'm not an anarchist.
So if the IRS gets a hold of my blockchain and it's open and they got my wallet, then they can get into your wallet and everyone else's wallet that I've done business with.
They'd have to break into your wallet.
Well,
hold on,
I left my computer open.
No. They'd have to break into your wallet and everybody else's wallet at the same exact time. To break the blockchain. And that's not going to happen because the blockchain is a scalable algorithm. So when somebody
Why did it happen with Silk Road?
With Silk Road, the guy got busted, so we used the blockchain for the benefit. You can't have people hacking and getting people's wallet addresses. So they busted him and said, dude, you're a bad person. Give us all your information, what you got going. Then they took the wallet address like a receipt and followed it from place to place to place and busted everybody on Silk Road that shouldn't have been there. Yeah. So the blockchain naturally...
well, good.
But all of these things are really cool. We're talking about like going down some rabbit trails, but what it comes down to is...
Well, that's good. I like it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
More importantly than informative is that it is the tangible version of trust.
Yeah.
And
I understand.
I just can't imagine what it's going to do to the whole world when we can trust each other again. That should be a happy laugh.
It should be, but
it's a sarcastic. I get it.
Yeah,
it's that feeling that you get. Yes.
Because there are too many bad people in the world.
But that's not the thing. That's not the thing.
Change that.
It's not that there's too many. Yes, you can. It's that type of thought, that thinking that leads to it. You have to realize that these people became bad. Why? Because of a life where they probably had a lot of distrust.
There's a lot of reasons. Some of it you're born with, some of it is mental degeneration, some of it is
all of those,
some of it is environment.
Perfect, and I can show you right now where trust would solve each one of those things you just named. Okay. If it was hereditary and the person could trust the other person, they would have been taken care of properly.
Right.
If it was, what was the other one? If it was environmental, if we could trust our people that ran our environmental public uniform establishments, we wouldn't be in that problem again. If we,
it goes beyond just trust. People have to do the right thing.
Exactly, but it starts with trust. And a lot of these people that we consider to be criminals are just honest people who've been screwed by a system. And not every one of them. Maybe they did bad things, but it's still getting screwed by the system when you are a good person now and you can't be part of society. And so the system we have in place is built to keep people outside of that bubble once they're outside of it. How are we ever going to grow if we have this thought process that all the bad people are forever going to be bad and all the bad people were only bad because it was at their core? It's not true. People become bad because bad things happen to them. And if they're a bad person at their heart, that's the person we need to uproot anyways. That's the person that gets shut down on Silk Road. And I have no problem helping people have trustworthy lives again and saying, wow, I can trust this system because the system is everybody's system. And that's the power of trust.
All right. Fair enough.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys, more videos to come. Anything else, Dev?
We're good.
Peace.
See you.